staff, or management, or our parent company, Glory Communications Incorporated.
South Carolina, the nation, and the world. We put it all in perspective with Armstrong Williams up next on WGCV 620 AM.
My name is Tom Thornton.
And my name is Cindy Thornton. We've been married 38 years, we're retired, and this is how we live united.
We play golf and we travel.
Good God! I got to ask you, what we need? Soul food. Henry Soul Food. No, we need it. Soul Food. Henry Soul Food. No, I like it. Soul Food. Henry Soul Food. No, we need it. Soul Food. Henry Soul Food. Hit me.
Home of the sweet potato pie. Even the keenest taste buds will tell you the best food on the planet. Large enough to serve you and small enough to know you. So get to Henry's at 5431 Indian Head Highway, Oxon Hill, Maryland, or give us a call at 301-749-6856.
Soul food. Henry Soul Food. What we need? Soul food. Henry Soul Food.
Welcome to the Armstrong Williams Show, brought to you by Golden Crust Bakery, the fastest growing Caribbean-owned franchise in the United States. Golden Crust is committed to the delivery of quality food and excellent customer service. Visit them today at goldencrustbakery.com. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Armstrong Williams Show. Thank you so much for joining us. Dr. Fleischer, how are you today?
I'm fine, Armstrong, and thank you so much for having me today.
We missed you last week.
Program. Well, I was having a delicious family reunion with 7 grandchildren and, of course, my children, and we just had a great time. They're just such a great bunch.
Well,
family reunions are wonderful.
And Dr. Thelma Reese, how are you today?
I'm just fine, Armstrong. How are you?
You know, I'm better than I deserve.
I
don't believe that.
No.
I'm better than I deserve.
I think you deserve the best.
Oh, you're too kind. So listen, if you go back over your life, Dr. Fleischer, what are some of the key decisions that you made that was transformative in your life?
Certainly my marriage is the first one that comes to mind. That was transformative because once you decide that you are sharing your life with another person, this requires changes to be made, transformations for both of you. And the second time was when the children were born. These just changed the whole dynamic of my family, my life, the way I was, the accommodations that needed to be made, the accommodations they needed to make to me. These were all transformations that I think can either construct or destroy all of the people involved.
What were the toughest years of your marriage and why?
I'm sorry, what were the what?
What were the toughest years of your marriage and why?
The toughest years. Oh, okay. Well, I think that one of the toughest years was when my second child was born. First child, we were able to all wherever we went, the second child really defined the limits, the physical or geographical limits of my life, and that was a big change. And at that point, we had to decide whether that influenced our decisions. The fact that there were now 2 children that required us to make total accommodations to the fact that they were both there, and this was an important decision was when we decided to move from Philadelphia to California, pick up the family, well ensconced in school and friendships and way of life, pick them up and move to another part of the country. For me, this was a huge decision, and for a while, I wasn't sure we had made the right one. In looking back, we all accommodated to it, and it turns out that I think it was the right one.
What is the worst decision you've ever made involving your children?
The worst decision. Whoa, that's difficult. I'm such a Pollyanna. I look back on them and say, oh, we weathered the storm. Therefore, it must have been okay. I guess that move was certainly not the best decision that we made, but I think it was the most difficult one. Worst decision, we all weathered it, so I guess it was okay.
What friend that you thought was a friend that you should have cut loose and severed ties with much sooner?
Whoa. I'm certainly not going to name names.
Of course not.
However, I certainly can think of one person who kind of hoodwinked me. I didn't realize how much of that friendship was a way to, in which was a way to use me. I felt, at one point in this friendship, I felt so used that I realized that that was the purpose of the friendship for not me, but for the other person. That I was serving a purpose that was not a particularly good purpose or one that I wanted to serve, and as I said, I felt hoodwinked because I didn't see it for a long time.
What was your toughest and most rewarding challenge as an educator?
I think the toughest and most rewarding was my very first teaching experience, which was in a school. I was just a couple of years older than the oldest kids in my class. I realized that these were kids that I had, my life had been so different from theirs, and I realized how tough it was for those kids to wake up every morning and get themselves to school and pay attention to what I was trying to teach them. There were so many more threatening and horrible and painful things that they had to deal with each day. When I realized the energy that they had to expend to pick themselves up and get themselves to school and behave and pay attention to what I thought was important, was harder than anything I had ever had to do in my life.
What is the best lesson? Go ahead. And
then, when during the following summer, I was a counselor at a summer camp with privileged kids, it was so difficult for me not to almost blame them for, not for the fact that they were raised in privilege, but that they didn't know what privilege they had. Now, they were only kids. They couldn't have known it any more than I could have when I was 13 or 14 years old. But I had to not take it out on them. I remember that as something that was very difficult for me to put in perspective.
I know you've probably had many of these, but what are some of the best lessons ever taught to you by your children?
By my children. Well, I guess when they saw, when they demonstrated that they had, they were able to care about, when they realized that they could put themselves in other people's situations and feel what was going on with them. It wasn't a lesson that I learned from them. I guess it was a lesson. That doesn't really answer your question, because that's a lesson that I hope I had taught them. Lesson I learned from them. Armstrong, I'd have to think about that for a while, because I feel that as an adult now, I learn lots of things from my grown-up children. I'm trying to think, though, what did I learn from them as they were growing up? Lessons that they learned that I recognized as something maybe that they had learned that I didn't already know. I'm trying to think if there are any of those.
What, in terms of your own, where you are today, it's not
Yes.
that you have regrets, but was there anything unfinished, a career you should have pursued, an opportunity you should have pursued, but you just did not allow yourself to?
Yeah, there were a few of those. I often, particularly...
Saved by the Bell. We're going to give you a break, and when we come back, we're going to have a frank discussion with Dr. Thelma Reese.
Okay.
Say bye-bye burgers, pass on the pizza, forget the francs. Anytime is party time. Discover Golden Crust's authentic Jamaican-style patties. Beef, chicken, vegetables, soya, spinach, and shrimp. Feast on our great taste sensations. Jerk chicken, oxtail, sliced fish, and much more. Savor the taste of the Caribbean. Only at a Golden Crust near you. A family tradition since 1949. GoldenCrustBakery.com.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Hi, this is Armstrong Williams. What does it mean to be conservative? Freedom of speech, freedom of free enterprise, freedom of assembly, less government, less taxes. As a matter of fact, a flat tax. Everyone should pay proportional tax. It doesn't matter whether you make $100 million or $10,000. Everyone should pay their 10%. Everyone should have something at stake in this American economy. I'm Armstrong Williams, expressing what we mean by conservative traditional value.
Does your school, team, church, or charity need a new fundraiser? Do you need to work out of your home or part-time? Are you a small business that can use an additional revenue stream? Then you need Yellow Llama. Do you need affordable web services or tools to enhance your existing business? Are you a graphic artist who wants to create a revenue stream with your art but not get ripped off? then go to www.yellowllama.com.
America must change course if we hope to survive and save the American dream for our children and grandchildren. How do we fix Social Security and Medicare? How do we cut government spending? How do we reform health care? How do we simplify the tax code? The Heritage Foundation has a bold plan that tackles these tough problems using common sense solutions that leave partisan politics on the sidelines. Find out how we can save the American dream at savingthedream.org, paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
Hi, this is Armstrong Williams with an opportunity to own a piece of paradise in Nassau, Bahamas. Spectacular land prices, 8,000 square feet, 20,000 square feet lot, affordable prices, hilltop properties with views of the magnificent sea. Just call 242-677-3120 or 3121 or go to info@rightsidewire.com and leave your information.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
And welcome back to the Armstrong Williams Show. Thank you so much for joining us. Dr. Thelma Reese, after all the years of knowing your mother, and how old were you when your mother passed?
Well, I'm 80 now, and so I was already in my very late 60s when Mother passed.
So,
but she was almost 97.
Yes. So in the latter years of your life, in your 60s, what is the most shocking thing you learned about your mother that you never knew?
I actually never learned anything shocking about her, but I was sometimes shocked by her. And what shocked me was, I think I always thought of her as a child and growing up as very sheltered in some ways, although she had always worked. She had to leave school to go to work, and she was a very intelligent woman, but there were things that she was very much of her time about. She was probably among the last people to give up wearing white gloves when she went someplace she thought was special. She never in her life wore slacks. She always dressed up a little to get on a plane. And I remember, this was a shocking story. I was working at a university, and the head of the department I was working in lost his wife suddenly. She suddenly died. And it was very sad. Everybody was very sympathetic toward him. And my mother, of course, knew about this man who had been my professor. She had heard about him over the years. And I said, you know, Mother, people think that perhaps now he'll marry the woman that we always thought had been his sort of secret sweetheart. They were colleagues. They worked very closely together. I said, I wonder if they'll marry now. And very quickly, he married someone else that none of us knew, a professor from another state. And I came home so surprised, and I spoke to my mom, and I said, you know, Dr. So-and-so married someone else, and not the woman we always thought he loved. And my mother's response was not only not shocked, she said, oh, they never marry them. I said, they never marry who? She said, well, believe me, if they were carrying on at all, that's not the one he would marry when his wife died. And I have to tell you, Armstrong, that shocked me beyond belief.
That's pretty good.
Because she was very prim and proper. And, I never heard her utter a profanity. And for her to think that, which I had not thought. it gave me a little different perspective on how she was thinking. That she was a lot more sophisticated than I realized.
You know, you just said something that, I've never heard my mother use a profane language, and yet you hear it so often from parents these days. Why is that? Why was that never part of her vocabulary?
I know. They really, really didn't.
You know what? I'm going to tell you.
Girls, and if my father ever uttered, I can utter a damn even on the radio now. If he said that in front of me, he would turn to me and apologize. Do
you know this? I want to tell you this. I'm loving this discussion. I've never used a profane word in my life. I've never used profanity.
Isn't that
Well, that is impressive. My goodness.
I love that.
And you just made me think about it. Charlton, do you disagree with me?
No, he has not.
Charlton there?
Yes, he's listening. He's enthralled in this conversation.
Are you going to disagree?
I'm not going to disagree, ladies. I can't.
You're not going to blow his cover.
I can't on this one.
I've never used profanity. I've never used it in my life.
And I think that's wonderful. I really do. And it's not that I am a prude about language or I'm upset when I hear it. I'm not. But I'm very happy to hear the opposite. I'm very happy to hear that somebody doesn't have to and really doesn't need to do that. There are some comedians today who I find very funny and whose language is absolutely awful. And every time I hear it, I think, you don't really need it.
Let me raise this with you. What is the greatest adjustment you had to make within your own character to survive on a job?
I worked for City Hall for a while. And I guess that could be at any City Hall. I will tell you, I was invited to run a commission in my city by the mayor, whom I didn't know, and it meant I had to get a leave of absence from my college teaching job, and I called the president of my college, and I said, do you think I could take a leave of absence to do this for a year? It wound up that I spent 3 years, but anyway, there was a silence at the end of the phone for a while. And she said, well, Selma, I know you, and I deal a lot with the people at City Hall. I think you're going to find they don't necessarily meet your personal and ethical standards all the time. You may have to make some real adjustments to getting along. And but of course you may do it if you want. And I did, and I'm glad, very happy about the experience. There were many good things about it, but she was right. I met wonderful people and I met dreadful people.
But you're not telling. But tell us the adjustments you had to make to your own character.
Well, I didn't adjust I hope I didn't adjust my character. I certainly suffered through it in many ways, and I came home in tears often because I couldn't do some of the things that it really would have. I suppose nobody asked me to do anything wrong. I don't mean that. It's just that when you're in an atmosphere where people are so competitive for attention, that it's very hard to keep your cool, to keep your feet on the ground, to know that you're just doing your job as well as you possibly can, and you can't let people who really do not want to see you succeed only because it might make them look less important.
I want to ask you something, and don't take this the wrong way, okay? Because this is a conversation shown about character, and who people are, and when people test who you are, how difficult impossible it is for you to tell a lie, even when you know it's what you need to do in that situation, but just something inside you won't allow you to do it. Talk about those instances.
Well, there are times when you have to, but I do think that there are different kinds. I don't believe there is only one, something is a lie or not. I do think there are times when it's so much kinder not to tell a bold truth, like about someone's appearance who's been really ill. I will try to say something different. If somebody says to me, do I look terrible? Who clearly does, because they're going through radiation or chemotherapy, I'd rather say, I've seen you look better, because they know they look terrible. And yet I can't say you look terrible. So I can find my way around something rather than a blatant lie, if I can help it. So I guess it is very difficult for me to actually ever really lie.
What has been the toughest reality you've ever had to face about yourself?
Oh, well, often fears, often feelings of panic or feeling that I shouldn't be somewhere. I mean, if something terrific happens, that's good. I mean, sometimes feeling unworthy of it. I don't think that's healthy. I'm not proud of myself if I can't accept these situations with equilibrium and, not be too prideful on the one hand and not be too humble on the other. I think we have to find a middle ground where we know who we are and we accept who we are. But there have been times when I've done things because I found them a challenge, because I found them even a physical challenge. I'm not a strong swimmer, but the first time I went on an Earthwatch expedition, I went to Tonga to save the giant clam.
Oh, boy, your time. Boy, this time is going by fast. Insightful, probing conversation with Reese and Fleischer. I'm Armstrong Williams. We'll be back.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Life is full of unexpected changes. Everyone has potential to do wrong. And when they choose to do it, contact the Bucksell Group for your private investigation needs. TheBucksellGroup.com or by phone at 202-243-9746. Whether there's an instance of a cheating spouse, child custody, process service, or security, don't continue suspecting. Get closure so that you can move on with your life. Visit TheBucksellGroup.com now or call 202-243-9746. If you think it's happening, it probably is.
To travelers along the road of life who have fallen asleep at the wheel, to the many who woke up in time to avert disaster and get back on the righteous path. For the ones who crashed and survived and now adhere vigilantly to a virtuous and righteous path. Finally, Armstrong Williams' much-anticipated new book, Reawakening Virtues, gives his insights into these daily challenges and much more. Reawakening Virtues is available in bookstores and at Amazon.com.
Join the millions of Americans who pursue one of our country's finest traditions, from hunting to sport shooting. Since 1871, the NRA has grown as a service organization involved in all aspects of shooting sports and is a proud defender of the Bill of Rights. Join today to begin taking advantage of exclusive membership offers and discounts, including up to $25,000 in insurance coverage. Contact the NRA today. Call 1-800 888-672-3888 or visit nra.org.
Most Americans simply have never been taught the basics of money management, let alone how to secure their financial future. But there is hope. Financial Education and Literacy Advisors, also known as FELA, does what others don't. FELA teaches financial education. If you'd like more information about providing a financial wellness program for your employees, or a credit-bearing college course in personal finance, or other valuable programs, please visit myfela.com. That's myfela.com, or send an email to info@myfela.com.
Elder Chicks is an exciting part of the fastest growing segment of the population. Women in their 70s, 80s, and older who are mastering the art of a senior life. We're no longer unseen and unheard. We're providing role models for each other and the baby boomers who are fast approaching retirement. Join our virtual community. Hit www.elderchicks.com on your computer keyboard.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
So this segment of Armstrong Williams is going to test something else about you and Dr. Reese, Dr. Fleischer. So I'm going to start with you, Dr. Fleischer, and I just want to get a reaction from you. Imagine this couple, Mark and Dana Michelle Gerstel, SUV overturned. And they had moments before it would blow up. And this guy, by the name of George Zimmerman, who had just been released and found acquitted on all charges of murder, and this is a true story, rushed from his vehicle because he saw this. He saw it overturned, and he rescued them and saving their lives and the lives of their children. But the Gersels don't want anything to do with him. They realize that people hate him. They feel that he's a bad character. And there's so much hatred directed towards him, they've got to think about their own family. There are a lot of crazies out there, they say. If they say anything in support of him, it could backfire. How do you react to that, Dr. Fleischer?
No, wait, I'm not sure I understand. It is their SUV that overturned.
He saved their lives.
Well, I think they would be very grateful that he saved their lives. Shouldn't he be grateful? I think that they should be very grateful. And then are you saying that people then ask are upset at them because they're grateful?
They're saying there's so much hatred directed towards this man. They've got to think about their own family first. There are a lot of crazies out there. If they say anything in support of him, it could backfire. They don't even want to acknowledge he saved their lives.
Oh no! I think that's terrible. I think that the two things need to be separated.
Dr. Reese.
I absolutely agree. These are two separate acts in a man's life, and however you feel about the first act has nothing to do with the fact that he did save their lives. If he saved their lives, they have to be grateful. It doesn't mean that they're going to spend the rest of their time being character witnesses for him about the first act.
But you know what?
It's a separate issue.
You think about
this.
It
would be cowardly of them to not acknowledge their gratitude to him.
It is unbelievable to me.
Unbelievable.
You could die. And you caught up in what you think about what the people are saying. This man saves your life. Are you kidding me? What is going on in this world?
I find that really just ridiculous. I can't believe that people would say that and do that.
But what does it say about what's going on in this country, Dr. Fleischer?
Did you say that this is a true story?
Of course it's a true story. It's all over the news. It happened.
I hadn't seen that. Okay.
That's why you're on this show. You hear it here first. It happened.
I heard it there first. Well, I agree with Selma. This is absolutely a cowardly act if they cannot acknowledge the good. People do good things, they do bad things. This act was a very good thing. It was very brave, courageous, and he should be commended for it. He should not be commended for what he did in the whole situation leading up to the killing of Trayvon Martin. That was wrong.
Yes, it was wrong. But Dr. Reese, why do we not care when it's black on black crime or white on white crime? Why is there a different standard when it's black on white and white on black?
Well, I do think...
Do we value these lives less? What messages are we sending here?
I think we're sending terrible messages all the time. I think we're sending terrible messages about both. I deal on a regular basis with kids who are mostly black and live in black neighborhoods where they are intimidated frequently by the kids in their own neighborhood. So I deal with this a lot with these kids, and there's no question that is given a lot less press than or attention by the country in general than when the crimes are in any way interracial, whether it's a black person doing something to white people or vice versa. But, of course, if it's a black person doing something to a white person, that gets the most press of all. And that's because this is still, and has always been, definitely a racist country.
You know what? I'm not going to go that far, but why does the media, who should be more responsible and accountable, perpetuate this instead of showing a balance on all sides and the fairness of it all? Dr. Fleischer?
I'm sorry, I didn't get the whole thing.
Why does the mainstream media only drives these kinds of crimes and cases instead of showing what truly happens in America? Why do they always use this race angle to further divide us?
Well, it attracts a lot of attention. That's what the media does. That's what they seem often to be there for, to see what gets the most interest. And unfortunately, black on white crime gets more interest than black on black crime. I think it's disgraceful. I think that that certainly is not of equal weight when it comes to what are the problems in this country. I think we need to deal with other things, but they don't seem to attract the attention. They don't seem to attract the audience. And that is what, unfortunately, a lot of media do. Not you. I think that you are really trying to look at what are the real issues that underlie, simply by raising this question. You are looking at the issues that underlie what the media tends to focus on. What the media focuses on, the United States, our country, focuses on.
And even, I would add, it's sometimes vice versa. It's that what the media is focusing on is what people respond to that reinforces the stereotypes they already have. And if people have these stereotypes, they want to keep thinking that way. They don't want to change their minds. They don't want to think that they've been wrong. You know, people get so entrenched in their beliefs that they really don't want to hear anything that disagrees with them. And that's why most people, when they're watching the pundits or listening to them on radio or television, tend to listen to people who reflect their own views rather than the other side.
But how can you ignore what happens to any community when 80% of the households, the children are born out of wedlock, 80% of the households have no fathers, the dropout rate of high school, the penal system. I mean, how can you continue to blame anyone in the government and not look at yourself and try to make some change? And realize that if any demographic had those kind of stats, they would be in the same predicament.
Yes, they would. Yes, they would be in the same predicament. And one of the problems is, I think, that people, it's so easy to extrapolate from those numbers the idea that this is going to apply to an individual in any way. And it's very hard to grasp the fact and accept the fact that even though those numbers may be true, the next person that you meet, any minority person that you meet, is still a single human being, and none of those things applies to that particular individual. Even if he comes from a single-parent household, even if he comes from poverty, he may very well be one of the millions of exceptions. The problem happens when we know those figures and we apply them in thinking about any individual. That doesn't work.
I will tell you that there's a lot of sadness in this country, but we definitely need to talk about the choices that we all make. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's part and parcel of the conversation, Dr. Fleischer. Choices.
Yes, I think yeah, go on.
I don't make excuses, I mean, that's easy. Anybody can make excuses. We'll be back. Dr. Bob Fleischer, Dr. Thelma Reese. I'm Armstrong Williams. Don't go away.
Say bye-bye burgers, pass on the pizza, forget the francs. Anytime is party time. Discover Golden Cross's authentic Jamaican-style patties. Beef, chicken, vegetables, soya, spinach, and shrimp. Feast on our great taste sensations. Jerk chicken, oxtail, sliced fish, and much more. Savor the taste of the Caribbean. Only at a Golden Cross near you. A family tradition since 1949. GoldenCrossBakery.com.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Does your school, team, church, or charity need a new fundraiser? Do you need to work out of your home or part-time? Are you a small business that can use an additional revenue stream? Then you need Yellow Llama. Do you need affordable web services or tools to enhance your existing business? Are you a graphic artist who wants to create a revenue stream with your art but not get ripped off? Then go to www.yellowllama.com.
Anderson Brothers Bank, a family-owned and operated establishment that blends traditional personal service, local market awareness, and advanced technology to meet the financial needs of its customers. Visit abbank.com or call 843-464-6271 to see how they can assist you with your banking needs. Anderson Brothers Bank, celebrating 75 years of community banking, the way it should be. Stability right in your backyard since 1933.
America must change course if we hope to survive and save the American dream for our children and grandchildren. How do we fix Social Security and Medicare? How do we cut government spending? How do we reform health care? How do we simplify the tax code? The Heritage Foundation has a bold plan that tackles these tough problems using common sense solutions that leave partisan politics on the sidelines. Find out how we can save the American dream at savingthedream.org, paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
Join the millions of Americans who pursue one of our country's finest traditions, from hunting to sport shooting. Since 1871, the NRA has grown as a service organization involved in all aspects of shooting sports and is a proud defender of the Bill of Rights. Join today to begin taking advantage of exclusive membership offers and discounts, including up to $25,000 in insurance coverage. Contact the NRA today. Call 1-800-672-3888 or visit nra.org.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
And welcome back to the broadcast. Now, I'm going to give you ladies, we're going to do something that's very unusual right now. I'm going to give you ladies a chance both to ask questions of me in this segment.
I have a question.
Yes.
I have a question for you, Armstrong, because I've known you a long time. And one of the things that I've always admired about you is your ability to have genuine friendships. And today this is more unusual than ever. Have genuine friendships, as with me, with people who disagree with you almost entirely on politics. Now, in a time when this country is so divided, when you can hear elected people say that they'll do anything just so they were going to do anything just so Obama couldn't be reelected. It didn't matter what they had to do about governing the country. That was their main thing. How do you maintain your very strong conservative principles and manage to be friends with people who don't agree with you? That's a serious question.
Well, I actually think that a person's politics says the least about them. The other thing is that, I grew up in a household where differing opinions, how we felt the ball game should be played, how we felt who should be selected for teams, and who gets to ride where going to church, and who gets to wear this. And so I always grew up with those challenges with my 8 brothers and 2 sisters. And then there was always compromise. Even though I may have wanted to wear those pair of shoes, or I wanted to sleep in that bunk bed, or I wanted that special sheet, it's always about compromise. And so I grew up saying, well, you know what? My dad said, is this really a worthwhile argument? Or is it something that you can just leave on the table? Yeah. Always spend your time debating about things that are really serious. And so, you're entitled to that. You're entitled to your views. I have brothers and sisters who are Democrats. But you know what? What matters is are people, their actions and their intentions, and how they treat people, and how they make the community around them better, and how they're willing to learn. And I always find that when you're open, you get a chance to test what you believe. Iron sharpens iron. And so I've learned to value it as a child, and I've learned to value people who don't necessarily share my value system. I share the way I look at clothes. I share the way I look at women. I share the way I look at businesses and the things I want to pursue. It's just a melting pot. But all of that makes us who we are. And if you were not who we are, we're all the same, life would be very boring, and we would never learn anything and never grow.
Do you think that in your experience, that people who didn't have your good fortune, and I do mean good fortune in the way you were raised, can learn that, can adapt and realize that they really can look at other people as you do? You're really talking about judging people on what you see of their character.
Listen.
Do you think people can learn that who don't have your advantage of your upbringing?
Listen, people think you vote for defines you, but I'm defined by what I believe in. Voting for a president, a member of Congress, somebody running for office is just an exercise of my freedom. It may be significant to you because I really don't think voting for a president, a member of Congress in the White House significantly impact my life the way people think it impacts theirs. It's not going to make a difference of whether I eat or whether I starve. It's not going to make a difference of whether my business survives or whether it fails. What matters most for me, as I learned from my parents, are the choices I make, the things that I do in my life every day. There may be some things that the government may put in place that may benefit me, but that may only be 10% of my whole life. I still have to work. I still have to get up in the morning. I still have to present myself a certain way. I still have to continue to learn. I must continue to read books. I must continue to engage with people who are very creative and who can sharpen my iron. And ultimately, in the end, your success depends more on you and less on any government entity and more on people that you interact with. Because if you want to learn about a person, find out who they listen to and also find out who they associate with. Because either you're becoming them or they're becoming you. Or you're becoming together each other.
Yeah. How come you're so smart?
I could ask you the same thing. Dr. Fleischer?
Well, I often think about you as extremely smart. You seem to know, are on top of everything that is things that are going on in the world, with very incisive views. One of the reasons I enjoy talking to you so much is that you cause me. I think about you more after the program is over than during. I think of because you provoke thinking in me. I think about a lot of things. And what I wonder about is, how did you find your way into having this kind of impact on people in your choice of what you do in your radio? It's not just radio, but all of the media that you're involved in. How did you know that this might have a great impact? Because obviously you're someone who knows that you can have impact.
Well, the good news is that you never know where and how things turn out. You know, we know far less than we try to give ourselves credit for. What I do know is that I'm alive now. That is not something that's guaranteed for the next hour. And so for me, the last 40-some minutes that you and Dr. Reese and I have been talking on this interview brings us closer to our ultimate destiny, which is death. And so I was taught that every second matters, every minute counts, and you've got to use it because tomorrow is not promised. So, and you never know, you could get up, you could have one of those strokes or heart attacks, you can be diagnosed with cancer, some incurable disease, you can get in some freak accident, because we see it among humanity every day. And I always say, yet though by the grace of God, that could have been me. So you have to understand that life is really precious, it's really fleeting away, and you got to really use it. So what you do, here's what you learn in life. You learn that whatever you do, when you sit on a forum like this, you value people and their opinions. You show them respect, you show them civility, and you show them that their opinion is of value. They don't have to agree with you, but if you respect them and you give them a chance to communicate, and they believe that you're listening to them, they'll begin to listen to you. If they begin to like you, they'll begin to trust you. If they begin to trust you, they will respect you. And if they respect you, they will listen to you and really think deeply about what you're saying, and they will start thinking about it in terms of their own value system, and you begin to influence each other. You've got to be open enough. You've got to be secure enough in your own position in life, in your own belief system, that you are willing to listen to someone else. And if they speak a higher truth, you're willing to abandon everything that you believed all your life, because all you care about is that higher truth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well said.
Yes. Well, I think that you are such a model for that, and somehow know that this will have impact on people. This does have impact on people.
And it does have an impact, but it also impacts me. It makes me a better and more quality person.
Yeah.
This is a laboratory. I mean, it's just such a blessing, and especially at this stage in our lives, that people still want to listen to us, that value what you say. You're going to have your critics. You're going to have people malign you, but you cannot be afraid to have people demonize and malign you. But that's freedom, and you got to celebrate that, and you don't want to censor that as long as they're not using profane language and these ad hominem attacks. You've got to allow people the freedom to express themselves, because sometimes those people can become your greatest allies, because they're not testing you, they're actually testing themselves.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think what you said, I think that's so important. You have to think about what is the impact on me when I am engaging with other people? Am I doing it in a way that makes me a better person? I'm not just listening to them, but I'm also being who I am.
Yes, because I think that so many of the talk shows that we listen to are people engaging others, but in a way, but in challenging them, in trying to foment a disagreement.
Just to hear themselves.
Right.
It's not real listening.
Yes, it's not real listening. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I mean, I can think of a dozen shows. I don't listen to that many, but in which the it is really a mouthpiece for themselves rather than a genuine interest in what someone else has to say.
Yeah. This is true, and you know what? The good thing about it, the hope we have, is that we all can get better. We all are not the same person we were a year ago in terms of our thinking. And you got a whole lot of hope that we can all grow and do better, no matter how young, no matter how old. That is the hope for this country. And as we get better, our country has a better chance for more longevity.
Absolutely.
I can't thank you both enough. These conversations are always fascinating. Thank you so much for joining us. Dr. Reese and Dr. Fleischer.